Well, I would love to say great win, but I don't think this is a great win. It's a win. It's 2 points for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Their first regulation win since January 10th, a matter of fact. February 2nd. I mean, February 3rd, if you want to be literal, considering it is 12:42 a.m. Eastern Time. A win's a win's a win. You picked up 2 points here tonight with a victory over the Calgary Flames, but that was far from a great win for your Toronto Maple Leafs. That was a win. It was a win. And I will leave it at that. That was not a pretty game for the Maple Leafs here tonight. I think that came on the backs of two gentlemen here. One of which I think deserves a lot of flowers for the way that he played in this one, especially given the scrutiny that he's been under over the last 3-4 weeks here in Joseph Woll. I thought he played unbelievable in this game. The amount of saves that he came up with that were either high danger chances or just ones that flat out probably shouldn't have been stopped. I look at the bounce that came off the glass behind the boards and then bounced out front, and he jumps out and gets his stick on it and breaks that one up. The one they get lucky on where Phil Myers keeps it out and it goes off, I think it was the post and the crossbar, and then down onto the ice where Phil Myers clears it away. And then you could just count numerous different times where Joe Woll was making some unbelievable saves, like the one on Sharon Govich where he sprawls across and stops that one from pretty much going into an empty net, although it was helped out a little bit by Sharon Govich pretty much putting that one into Joseph Woll. We'll break all of it down here tonight and more. We're also going to be joined live from the Saddle Dome out there in Calgary by Nick Alberga, live from the arena in the press box to help break down everything that happened here tonight in Game 56 between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames in this one. I'm Zach Phillips. This is a presentation, as always, of Bet365. Throughout the course of tonight's show, we're going to do a lot of different things, but I want to lay it out to you guys here as we go through this one. So, numerous different things happen if you're new to the show, if you're coming back here for the second, the third time, or if you've been back many times before. I still want to just remind people how the course of the show goes. We'll talk about everything that happened. I want you guys in the chat to be very involved in the show. I'm going to read your comments. I will read your super chats. I will read all of it and get you guys involved. And then I'm going to open up the call lines later on after Alberga comes through, because I want to know how Leafs fans felt about this game. And those of you who are willing to call in and interested in giving your thoughts on this one, I want to hear from you guys. So get in the chat, get involved, and we'll break down everything going on with this team, whether it was tonight's game, whether it was the last stretch of games, or if it was what's going to happen for this team going forward. So I'm looking to hear from you guys throughout this one. We'll get to some different segments. We'll recap our best bet. We'll do a play of the game. We'll do a grade of the game as well. The big thing in the show here that I just want to remind people of, or make people aware of at least, is proceeds from our super chat do go to Sick Kids Charity. You want to get your question or your comment read no matter what, even if it's beyond just myself reading what's going on in the live chat in real time. If you really want to give your opinion on tonight's game or what's happening, or you just have some thoughts that you want read, send in those super chats. Proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity, Canada's #1 research-intensive children's hospital, #3 in North America. Super chats last season totaled about $4,400. I think this season we're pretty much back at 45. We're around 44, 45 right now. Getting this thing past 5,000, even getting it to 5,500, 6,000, if we could get there, would be pretty amazing for this season to just blow past the total we put together last year. I think that would be awesome. But let's start a little bit in chronological order. Start with the beginning of this one. Also, Baseball Dude 34. We're back streaming from the closet, Zach. What about this is the closet? This is very clearly my room. At least office/room. Combo situation here. But let's start from the beginning of this one. That was a slow, ugly game for this Leafs team tonight to open things up. And then William Nylander, after getting absolutely mashed in your own zone for 35 seconds, something he is amazing at, recognizes an opportunity to break. And I know a lot of people outside of the market will point at it, or people who are Willie haters will point at it and say, cherry picking, a guy looking for points, a guy looking for breakaways. But in my opinion, that's a guy who's recognizing a defensive breakdown and an opportunity to take off. He's usually very, very, very good at recognizing those situations and not having it be an instance where they're going to get burned, or him not getting back to at least retreat back into the defensive zone if that's the case. Willie breaks free on that one, recognizing they've got Huberdeau caught up high. He makes a bad backhand saucer pass that JT intercepts, dumps that one up to Willie into the neutral zone. He takes off, and with a beautiful shot, William Nylander opens the scoring in this thing 35 seconds in. And then that wasn't it. That wasn't the end of the story here tonight. But that held for a long time. You close out the first period up 1-0, and it was a rather uneventful first period for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You basically went the entire rest of the way without really generating anything dangerous. It was mostly Calgary for that first period outside of that goal, where it was them spending time in your O-zone, them generating chances. I'm not going to pretend like that was just getting your teeth kicked in the first for chance after chance. That's not a very offensively inclined team over there in Calgary. But what it was a team that just looked like they were kind of surviving a little bit, where they were on their heels, and it was Calgary who was basically going to just kind of control and dictate some of that offensive play that was taking place in the first. It was a rather uneventful, boring first period that pretty much had me concerned about 30 minutes into this one, watching this at like 10:35. I'm like, we are fucked. Like, how am I going to stay awake for the rest of this thing? Because this is a snoozer. And thankfully, it ended up opening itself up, which is at least something exciting to take place for this team down the stretch, because if you're going to lose and it's going to be bad hockey, which, let's call it what it is, that's bad hockey. Saturday against Vancouver, that's bad hockey. This is two bad teams that you've played in the course of 3 days here now, and it's been bad hockey in both of them. Saying, as I see in the chat, Leafs are a better team is a low, low bar when you come away edging out wins in a shootout and with an empty net goal against the Calgary Flames. And I don't mean that to absolutely kick dirt on the Canucks and kick dirt on the Flames. You're in that conversation with them. You have more skilled, more talented players than they do. You have in the Vancouver case, a more talented goaltender than the Canucks did in that game. In this one here in Dustin Wolf, they've got a really young, promising guy. So you at least had that battle to take place between Woll and Wolf tonight. But you got an unbelievable performance from Joseph Woll, and you had William Nylander, who decided this was going to be his night. This was going to be the William Nylander show in this game. And I don't think if William Nylander was playing, or I think that if William Nylander didn't show up and play this way tonight in this game, I think that there's no shot that they come away from this one with a win tonight against the Calgary Flames. They are more talented. They have more talented players. They have some better players on this roster, but they did not play very well in this game. It was slow. It was sloppy. It was an ugly game, and you edged the Calgary Flames out in this one late. So, yes, sure, credit to them for picking up 2 points. If this goes on to be some historic run and they go 20-9 down the rest of the way, yes, amazing, great stuff. I feel like that's highly, 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 highly unlikely. I say that many highlies and say unlikely because it's not impossible. It can happen, but I don't think with this group constructed this way, with the injuries that they have, and with the just style of play that they're playing right now, or at least the pace that they're playing at, that they can put together that many wins. I don't feel very optimistic about it. I don't feel optimistic about this team for the rest of this season, and I think that in a game like this, it's tough because, yeah, you're probably just going to beat these teams. They're bad teams, and you're not just going to go out there and try to lose. You can't tell the players, hey, let's try to lose tonight. But, yeah, you'd rather not separate yourself from Calgary and from the Vancouver Canucks. You'd rather not open up gaps on them in that. And it's pointed out in the chat, and it's 100% right. The Boston Bruins are probably pretty happy looking at this here tonight and seeing that you won. Look at the teams around you as well. Buffalo wins again. The Ottawa Senators win again. Like, if these are teams that you're chasing, they are winning. You don't just have to look at Buffalo and Boston and Montreal, who picks up a point here tonight against Minnesota as well. You're not just looking at those teams. You are also now looking at teams that are between you and them and thinking, well, we've got to leapfrog those teams as well. You've made this a lot more difficult on yourself. If they had at least leveled things out from where they were off of that massive road trip where you had played amazing since December 23rd. You went 2-1-1 over your road trip, including a big win against Colorado, and you came back on the homestand and strung wins together. Yes, this game tonight and this road trip where you beat Vancouver and you beat Calgary, I could at least say, okay, yeah, not very good hockey, not very inspiring hockey, but points are points, and I will take that. We will take the 4 points, and we will move on. But it's tough because right now I don't think that this team is in a position, a very confident position, that is, to make the playoffs. I think the hill that they have to climb to get there, unfortunately, is too high. It was done by themselves. And a win like this is just tough because it's just points that you picked up, and nothing about the way they played is very inspiring either. I mean, Supreme Lurker says negative Nancy alert. 6 1/3 says, okay, Zach, too hard, just quit. That is it. End the stream then. Well, I'm not going to do that because the show isn't just strictly based on if this team is going on playoff runs or if they're going to make the playoffs or they're going to win a Stanley Cup. The show is to break down the game, every single game, all season long. That's why we do this, and that's why we're here at 1 a.m. Eastern Time on a Monday afternoon in February to break down the game and talk about what happened. In a win here tonight against Calgary, it's still not a very pretty game. A little bit more exciting because there's a bunch of goals scored and it's some back and forth action and Calgary gets in it and you have to battle it out a little bit and you have to win and come up clutch at the end. But you beat a team that's barely below you in the standings. And when I say barely below you in the standings, I mean you are at the bottom and they are like just below you. So you beat another bad team and you didn't look very good in the win. If this was an absolute whomping where they just came out, beat the wheels off the Calgary Flames, were fast-paced, high-tempo, intense, yes, I would 100% say, okay, you know what, there's something there. Maybe, you go into Edmonton tomorrow night, you piece together a win in that one, you play the right way. I think you're in a good spot. Not very inspiring in this. Did I say 1 in the afternoon? Did I say 1 in the afternoon? That's my bad. My brain's going loopy. Nuke the Whales 69. I love you, Zach. I want to take you away from all this. Well, thank you. What is away from all this? What does that entail? Where is that to? Where does away from all of this take me? That's what I'm curious about. Thanks for the nice words, but it is amazing to me too that there are just Sens trolls here. The Sens with the same amount of points as the Maple Leafs, saying it's over for the Maple Leafs. Glass houses. You ever heard of that? Glass houses. Feels like we're kind of teetering on that one there, Sens fan. Let's get to some of the super chats that we've got lined up as well. Just want to point out to people, as we do have over 200 plus watching us right now at 1 a.m. after a victory against the Calgary Flames here tonight. Every set of 50 likes we get on the post-game show, 50, 100, 150, 200, we will do the smelling salt. So you guys like the stream, you comment, you participate, makes me do some dumb shit. More than happy to do that, especially in a season where things are a little bit dark. You know, it's not the typical happy-go-lucky, let's see what happens when we get to the playoffs type of season. It's an absolute battle, and it's going to be an absolute battle from here to the end of the year, especially as we start to look for trades that are going to take place and moving guys off and recouping assets, and probably a lot more games like this here tonight where it's ugly. Maybe you scrape through some wins, or maybe like what I'm expecting to happen tomorrow night in Edmonton, maybe potential blowouts. It's possible. You hope not. You want to see them stay competitive, but feels like that might be the case, especially if you play like this. Jack DR2 Rye, come to the dark side. What is the dark side? Oh, Frank is positive. Sens are making the playoffs. I just need to throw like a jab here quickly. But this is year 10 of Auston Matthews. They went to the Stanley Cup playoffs 9 straight years. They're going to miss for the first time in his time here. Of all fan bases to be talking shit, saying you wasted these guys' primes and you wasted these guys' eras, do you not think that you should maybe chill a second when you've had Brady Tkachuk, who's going into what I think is his 8th year, and he's made the playoffs once and is going to miss the playoffs again? Is that not like hypocritical? Just saying. Let's go to some super chats here. I want to see what everyone is thinking about this one tonight and how everyone's feeling. We'll start it off with a $20 super chat from Adam Barry. Adam just sends in a smiley face. Adam, thank you for that super chat. Greatly appreciated. Obviously, proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. So get those super chats in, get those comments and questions and concerns and thoughts and all of that into the post-game show here, because I want to know how you guys are feeling after a Maple Leafs victory here tonight. And this, I think, is more in line with where Leafs fans are at for the most part tonight, aside from a couple who are thinking, hey, this is the beginning of the ultimate comeback story. Maxentius Decimus says, I deserve a refund for watching that game at 10 p.m. Max, I feel you, brother. That was like, if you're going to be in these games and you're going to just lose, I guess make them exciting. As we got to like the third period, late second, it did become more exciting. But that game was really not that entertaining to watch. And even in a win, it just really never felt like this was like, oh, this is the Leafs carrying this thing. This is the Leafs taking this one over. It was getting some performances out of William Nylander, Joseph Woll. Johnny T, I thought, had some legs here tonight. And outside of that, it was just a gross, messy game. It was a gross, messy game for your Toronto Maple Leafs. J-Rock here with the super chat. What's worse, Leaf season or your parlay names? Hard to beat, but definitely my parlay names. They are what's worse. I mean, if the Leafs can find a way to finish in bottom 5, the season can be okay. The season, it'll be okay. The only thing that makes this suck about this year is, I mean, you pick up points like this and you leave Florida behind you, the Flyers are behind you, the Devils are behind you, the Rangers are behind you. And, I mean, you look over on the other side and there's Nashville and San Jose and Chicago and Winnipeg and Calgary and St. Louis and Vancouver who are all behind you here as well, while you sit 7 points out of a playoff spot right now. It's going to take a miracle. It's going to take a miracle. A win tomorrow night would be pretty hilarious. JD Anderson comedy with just the super chat that gets sent in there with nothing attached to it. As we wait for Nick Alberga, who will join us shortly, he's down in the room getting player statements, seeing what the vibe is like amongst the Toronto Maple Leafs in that locker room following this victory here tonight against the Calgary Flames, game 56 of the season. Leafs finding their way here tonight in this one into a spot where they currently sit behind, tied with, Columbus and Ottawa, behind the Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins, and the Buffalo Sabres. The teams that I think you're looking at to find your way into a playoff spot. Let's go to some things that happened in this one that I wanted to break down. The fact that there are just no penalties being called for the Toronto Maple Leafs is starting to drive me nuts a little bit. I know a lot of it is attributed to, like, they don't play with speed. Maybe they don't get themselves into positions to warrant penalties at the rate that a lot of other teams do. I'm willing to kind of admit that. But the amount of times that there are, like, potential penalties that this team is just not getting is just outrageous. Like, how do you go? I believe this is now 3 consecutive games, or actually they got 1 against Seattle. So they got 1 there, and Rielly scored on that power play there against Seattle. But I look back to Buffalo. I think they got no power plays in that one. They got 1 against the Kraken. They got none against the Canucks. They got none against the Calgary Flames here tonight. How are you not drawing penalties? Any. Like, you watch the Woll Backlund play in front of the net. I think it's hard-pressed to say Joseph Woll clearly grabbed the stick. It's a little bit of a tie-up there with him and Backlund as Backlund goes across the front of the net. They definitely get a little bit tangled, but to just call holding the stick on Joseph Woll as Backlund then turns and punches your goalie in the head and it goes to a 4-on-4. How in the fuck is that even? How is that even? I'm not trying to do like a complaint about the refs thing from just a Leafs perspective. There's certainly some more here too on the other side of things that Flames fans are probably pissed about and wondering where penalties were called. No problem. I'm not going to dispute with Flames fans, and I'm not trying to blame refs or anything. Like, this is just a bad hockey game, and two teams that don't play very well, and you kind of get lucky because the Calgary Flames aren't capable of scoring on the other side. But how the fuck are we just letting situations like that result in a 4-on-4? Backlund punched Joseph Woll in the head. Justin Bennett, that's the other one I was going to bring up. Coronado getting away with that chop on McMahon in the first. And it's just like, let him play. This is not a chippy physical game here between the Leafs and like the Panthers, like what we saw a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about how inspiring it was, how physical the game was both ways. Like this was like a men's league physicality level game where there was just a minimal interest on either side of things, where it looked like both teams wanted to leave. You get a moment like that, you just got to call penalties. Like I'm not saying, oh, the Leafs deserved better tonight. The Leafs deserved way more in this one. But like, you have no action happening all night from a penalty perspective when one jumps out in front of you like that one, or a moment where like a guy cuts across, gets tangled up with a goaltender and turns and punches him. How are you not calling penalties here and giving advantages? And I know that John Smith pointing out Backlund got 2 minutes for roughing. I know that. I'm acknowledging the fact that he got the penalty. I just can't believe the Leafs walk away from that even holding the stick. I don't know. Frosty, who would you rather have, Nylander or Kaprizov? Kaprizov. Another super chat comes in here from Brandon McMillan. Thank you, Brandon, for the super chat. Brandon says, we'll get mopped tomorrow if we play like that 100%. Not a question in my mind. You will get mopped tomorrow if you play like that. You were outshot by the Flames here tonight, 30-22. I would like to see or take a look at what the chances for and like the shots for and against were in a game like this. The Maple Leafs end up 47% on the deserve to win meter, which I will pull up on the screen in 1 second because this is a pretty unbelievable graphic by our friends over at Money Puck for what they've put together on their screen right now. I don't know if anybody has taken a look at this, but the deserve to win meter, Craig Berube's scar over his dome is where the deserve to win meter is at. 44.9% for the Maple Leafs, 55.2% for the Calgary Flames. Over the course of 1,000 game simulations, you played out the same way. And just taking a look at the expected goals and at all situations, 2.25 for the Leafs, 2.05 for the Flames. Okay. And I guess in this one, you did get the breakaway from Willie. You got the breakaway from Lawton, or the half breakaway from Lawton. That was a pretty decent chance there for him. So, yeah, I guess that's where those come in this, and they create some chances for you, but it's an ugly game. And I mean, this is William Nylander who deserves the credit for this win. Michael says, Zach, when they want to trade 34 next year, when the team will suck and 34 is not willing to stay for a rebuild, but he has injury again, is it too risky? Michael, we're speaking in hypotheticals. Like, I get it, but does the team want to be good next year? Because you have a 28-year-old superstar goal scorer as well as a superstar goal scorer in William Nylander here on the team, and you're just saying, oh, he's going to get injured and the team's going to stink. Or they could stink. Yes, that's entirely possible. But Auston Matthews has 2 years left on his deal. Any player could potentially get injured. McMahon could get injured tomorrow night against Edmonton. Nylander could get injured tomorrow night. Joseph, like anybody could get injured. Connor McDavid could get injured tomorrow night, and his season is over. You could get injured when you wake up in the morning and step out of bed. You could get injured when you go to the kitchen and make your breakfast. And I know I'm talking about like these ridiculous scenarios, but Jack Hughes has been injured all season long. All season long. And most of that injury came from a dinner with the team where he cut his hand. Like, what the fuck? I get it. He's dealt with injuries, but you're watching a guy play really well now. If he thinks he's back and he thinks he's good again, and the team is confident where his health is at, and he wants to be here in Toronto and doesn't think, hey, I'm out of here, I want to be out of here. Why force the guy out? I get having the conversation, but that's a matter of where the team is at. Super chat here from WM98, aka Anonymous Canes fan. If a Canes fan can donate, let's see how much more. If a Canes fan can donate, let's see how much more you Leafs fans can give to sick kids. Yeah, everybody get those in. I'll get the smelling salts in 1 second. It looks like I'm going to have to figure out sending Alberga a link here again. Trying to get him on and sort this out. I got a fucking email issue that is taking place here on my screen. Hold on a second, ladies and gentlemen. I know this is not very professional. I apologize. I'm willing to own this one. Where is this goddamn email? There it is. Okay. There we go. It's sent off, and he should be able to join now, hopefully. Oh, I see what's taking place. These arena internets. Hold on. It blocks the arena. It's blocking the arena internet. All right, he should be able to join now. We'll see. We should have Alberga on here in a moment. Sorry for that, ladies and gentlemen. It's me. I'm the only producer of the show doing this in real time. I'm trying to find a way to get through this and clean this up. There we go. All right, we got that to work. The arenas, there's a way to set these things up, and the arenas, fair enough, it's an NHL building, trying to stay safe, I guess, but they block your internet when you're trying to call in from within an arena every now and then. Looks like if you were to try to hack into Vegas' system, you'll be fine, because our friend Nick Alberga had no issue joining from there. But you want to hack into the Saddle Dome, which will be shutting down within the next couple of years. Not happening. It's like Fort Knox in there. And with that, let's welcome to the program Nick Alberga, live from Calgary, Alberta. Nick, what's up, man? Do you feel as sleepy and tired from watching that lackluster game as I do? Because about 20 minutes in, I looked around and went, uh-oh, I might be fucked here for this postgame. I don't know if I'm going to have enough energy from what I'm watching to get through tonight.
Yeah, you're right. It had the weird feel, too, even being on site here in Calgary, where it was like, it felt like the day was like 40 hours long, and then it was like an 8 local start time here in Calgary. So like it dragged on, and right. I guess because Leafs morning take happened at 9 a.m. local time as opposed to 11, it felt like I was waiting all day for this game. But yeah, I don't blame you. It's quite late out in the East, and the Maple Leafs, good on them, man. They woke up in time to win this hockey game tonight.
Okay, let's go into the game, because I said I got mixed reviews here in the chat in real time about what's taking place and what my thoughts were. So my opinion was this was a bad game from 2 bad hockey teams, one of which just has more talented players on its roster, and a goaltender who played really, really well tonight in Joseph Woll. I felt like the Leafs probably, for the most part, didn't deserve to win this one. If you take a look at the body of work over 60, but you take you take some really talented players, one in particular who had himself a really good night, William Nylander, on the offensive side, and they capitalize on chances, something that the Calgary Flames struggled to do, and that's kind of the result that you got. You beat the Calgary Flames. It didn't look pretty. It didn't really inspire much confidence, but a win's a win's a win, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that's probably the way they'll approach it. Just got back from the room and hearing some of the parties involved. I think that was the consensus. I still can't believe that Joseph Woll made that save, if you want to call it that. I don't even know if it's a registered shot on goal, but I thought it was like a really good start. The fact that you score 35 seconds in, the
Yeah.
building was buzzing as it was over the weekend against the Vancouver Canucks. I anticipate the same tomorrow against Edmonton. But yeah, you're right. It wasn't Toronto's best game, but that is my takeaway. They found a way to get the job done. I think you have to credit them for playing with the lead for once. I mean, we really haven't seen that much lately. And I think it was like the prototypical vintage Nylander night where it just seemed like the puck was on his stick all night long. And I felt like it boosted his line mates too. Like I thought John
Yep.
Tavares, second straight game where he was really, really noticeable. Matthias Michelli almost had a couple in this game. So, like, I'll take the positives out of this one. I totally understand what you're saying. You're up 3-love in the game. They couldn't put them to bed. Got the obligatory Nazem Kadri night against the Maple Leafs. I mean, just sign up for that. It's auto bet every time they play them. But I think they found a way to solidify things in the third period. Joe Wall made some big stops, and it leads to a victory, and it leads to a momentum-building potential game to finish up the pre-Olympic slate in Edmonton tomorrow night.
I guess you're more optimistic than I was coming on here. So credit to you. There's going to be people in the chat who are happy to hear that because a lot of people are pushing back saying you got the 2 points. You've won 2 in a row here now. You win against Edmonton tomorrow night, and you're not that far back. I mean, I did look at the standings and pointed out you're tied with Ottawa here at 61, with the Blue Jackets at 61. You're 2 points behind Washington. You are 7 back of Boston, 8 back of Buffalo, so you really have to put things into gear. But I mean, I guess on the positive side of things, yes, you are correct. You win 3 straight here. You pick up 6 to close things out before the Olympic break. And then you could look at the conversation we had previously where it's like maybe some guys with some rest and some health will do you good down the stretch. But the one guy that has some health here now and is making a difference in the 2 games he's played is William Nylander. We talked about it on Saturday night's post game and just the impact that he had in elevating John Tavares in that game and showing on a few different occasions that he was a guy who was able to take over shifts and moments in those games. I liken this one here tonight for William Nylander to the professional hockey player who just goes out and plays beer league with his buddies in the summer just to go out and have some fun and shoot the shit, where it's not really pretty, nothing really great is happening, you're not going to be posting any highlights from the game, and all of a sudden you look around and you go, holy fuck, who is that guy? And it was William Nylander. He was able to do what he wanted, when he wanted, how he wanted, throughout basically the course of this game here tonight. I thought every time he touched the ice, he was dangerous, and to your point, making other guys better. JT looks better all of a sudden. Michelli looks better. He looks more dangerous. Even some of the defensive pairs, when they go on with them, like look at that 4-on-4, for example. Obviously,
Yeah.
Auston Matthews is on the ice as well, but OEL's buzzing around creating chances. Troy Stetcher's creating chances. What'd you make of William Nylander's night here tonight against the Calgary Flames and just his second game back since injury?
Yeah, there's a reason why he's paid all that money for his game-breaking abilities, and I don't think it's crazy to say that's maybe a top 3 effort of the season for Willie Nylander. Like, I think there's been some empty calorie games along the way where you look at the box score and you're like, shit, he's got 3 or 4 points. But I thought from beginning to end, it was Nylander's night, and it's funny, he even joked about it in the post-game sort of scrum, like his attachment or lack thereof. I mean, I think he was here for a year and a half. He was born in Calgary, lived here for a year and a half, and he was laughing about some of the teammates giving him a bit of grief about the fact that I guess he's technically from Calgary, but stats don't lie. I mean, go look at the numbers. This guy, I believe, at a Hattie in Calgary last year, he plays his best hockey in this building. And again, I think it was a prime indication. It just like, when Willie's on, and I know Craig Berube after the game was asked about it, and this is the same with a lot of great players in this league. It was like the puck was attracted to his stick. And it's marvelous to watch, specifically in the first period. I thought he was out. It just seemed like every time I looked and I'm watching, like Nylander had the puck. And I think the great thing about the player is he can do anything he wants with that puck. We even thought he was going to pull off the Michigan behind the net where he had a lot of time and space. But I think the big point you made, Zach, he elevates his line mates. I know it's been a really tough, last month for John Tavares. I think by far one of his best outings, I would say, in the last month. Matthias Michelli has struggled consistency issues throughout this season, way better. And I think you have to, tip the cap to Willie Nylander, because that's what he does when he's on his game, is elevates his teammates. And I think tonight was a prime example of that, where maybe they didn't have their best effort, but when you pay this guy a lot of money and he's your star player, you're going to get these, games from time to time.
You went down to the room, as you kind of mentioned, and you talked about it, whether it was Nylander and guys giving him the gears because he's technically from Calgary, or if it was guys talking about the way the game was played tonight. What was the general consensus down there? Was there anything inspiring that was said by any players about tonight's game or where the season's at as a whole?
Well, it's funny. I was giggling because Joe Woll, like Matthew Nyes, does not look at the standings. And then conversely, you got Troy Stetcher, Mr. Hockey, was breaking down the schedule. They have 26 games remaining, and he said 18 of those 26 are in the Eastern Conference. So you go from one guy who claims he's not looking at the schedule to fucking Stetcher is breaking shit down for me. So I laughed at that, but very, very pro-like, very business-like. I think they agreed. Like John Tavares, I mean, he usually gives pretty decent answers. He didn't think it was their best game, but he liked the way they closed things down in the third period. I think you have to give them somewhat of credit for that, although they got lucky with the Klapka play there with Joe Woll. But they found a way to get the job done. I was grinning ear to ear. I had the Bob McMahon anytime goal from Wainwright, Alberta. Just boost that stock a bit more, Zach. We love to see that.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I saw that. I saw him take off to pick up that puck. Lawton did a great job of clearing as well, by the way, sticking with it. He wins the battle. He clears it. Bobby McMahon goes, and I'm like, please score. Please score. Please score. Like, you are on the audition of all auditions here right now, doing this West Coast tour, knowing that there's a team that you're playing tomorrow night before you go into the Olympic break, who is probably the biggest or best fit, biggest suitor or best fit for Bobby McMahon when it comes to the trade deadline. I'm like, you pick up one more here tonight, I don't give a shit. Empty net, goalie in it, breakaway, I don't care how this thing is scored. You fucking score this thing, because it's one more to add to your total. So nice to see Bobby McMahon net that one to close it out as well. And yeah, good point to close this thing out. It did take a little bit of luck, but they did get it done here tonight. I guess just one of the things I'm curious about is you talk about the answers and the business likeness of that. I am a big vibes guy. You know that. You know, myself and Vic can buy into vibes really big, especially when things were going well over that stretch. You were seeing the post-game interviews and the music playing and hearing all the quotes and everything that was coming out. What was the vibe like down there from the team after the win? I don't imagine the team celebrating and partying, but is it more like, a little bit of somber mood? Is it a dark mood? Is it just, hey, pick it up, we go to the next one? Like, how are guys just generally carrying themselves, I guess? I know it's a little bit of a difficult question to be asking. I apologize, because I'm kind of like, I'm asking you to be a psychologist here, breaking things down. But is there anything you can pick up from these guys just about the overall mood?
Nothing noticeable, to be frank. I think they're going to give you the stock answers. We don't look at the standings. We're taking a one game at a time, and they're going to try to win in Edmonton tomorrow. Like, I really don't have much aside from that. I think they're happy with the way they played. They're happy with the way that the outcome came their way, and they took care of business. But I think you have to be honest, too, and looking back at that homestand from hell that might have probably cost this team. I think you just look at the battle over the last month and a half to get back in a playoff spot, and then conversely to get out of a playoff spot. It just, every night's a prime indication. Tonight, another perfect example. The Buffalo Sabres win again. It's going to be a familiar theme, and that's why I think we have to be realistic. Well, they could easily, Zach, come out tomorrow and beat Edmonton, and it's 3 in a row, and producer Vic's going to be back on the bandwagon, and we're going to be looking at premature webaculation again. But I think I just hope they attack this deadline the right way, where they understand just how difficult this is going to be. I'm vibes guy for sure. I think it's going to be an uphill battle. I will say, I think there's one team that nobody really realizes right now that's going to go on an epic run. I don't know if it's the Maple Leafs, but it happens more times than not. It happens most seasons where, look at Buffalo. They've won, 19 of 24, whatever it is. It's doable. But I think considering what we've seen in the lack of consistency throughout this season, it's unlikely for the Maple Leafs. But I do think it would be the most Maple Leafs thing ever to go on a crazy run, maybe fall short or even get into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So all they can do is take it one game at a time. I'm just curious, like once they come back from the Olympic break, and I think there's 6 or 7 games before the March 6th trade deadline, the approach, because like what happens if they come back and they keep winning and winning and winning? So that'll be something to monitor as we move forward here. But yeah, I don't really have an answer for you. It was the same.
That's fair.
It's usually the same mentality after a win or loss. You're not going to get much from these guys.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I just was kind of curious how they're walking away, approaching these things, knowing where they're at in the standings, or not knowing. If you're Joseph Woll,
they don't know.
Matthew Knies,
they have no
I guess,
clue where they're at.
Yeah. It's a fair. It's a good answer. It's an honest answer. I didn't know if there was going to be anything you could provide. I just wanted to poke and prod and see if there was anything noticeable, but makes sense that that's not the case. 2 more things here I want to get to with you, and then I'll let you enjoy the rest of your night in Calgary if there's anything to do out there in Calgary. So yeah, I didn't know anyways, but a couple things I want to ask you about. So first of all, I thought the way they played tonight was concerning for who's coming up tomorrow. Like, yes, great, you beat Vancouver. Yes, you beat the Calgary Flames tonight. But there's that concern for me that there's a couple different factors going into tomorrow night that aren't lending to a positive result for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Anthony Stolarz has been shaky in his couple games that he's played since returning. He starts tomorrow night. You look at this team on the back-to-backs out in the West Coast, specifically Colorado, then Utah. That thing went sideways on them quickly. Now you're going to play the Edmonton Oilers, who are a much more formidable opponent, on home ice tomorrow. I don't know that this thing goes very well if they play this way, and given how they've played historically this season on the back-to-backs. So I'm not too positive about tomorrow night, but do you get any inclination from this game that there's anything to build off of here positively going into tomorrow or for the rest of the season with this team that would lead Leafs fans to actually having some type of faith other than the fact that, hey, we picked up 2 wins in a row?
Yeah, I think firstly I would add too that the game's a 6:30 local start time. Tonight's game was an 8 local start time, so that's starting 2 games in less than 24 hours. But I view this game differently because I think there's got to be a level, an approach, if you will, if you're the Maple Leafs, where you got to leave everything out there, man. This is the final game before a 3-week break, save for 3 players on this roster. What do you got in you? Play your best game that you have maybe of the season. I think it's important to stress, notwithstanding the first meeting, I thought the Leafs actually had a pretty decent start. I was at that game. They usually play Edmonton really, really well, and I think they can feed off the crowd. Like, that's one thing I've noticed in Vancouver the other night, being here in attendance for this game in Calgary, just how uplifting I think it could be for the team to have the fan support in the building. And I expect that tomorrow night in Edmonton. It's a daunting task for sure. The Oilers are coming off a disappointing loss. They had their skills competition yesterday. McDavid puts out a random letter in the Players Tribune. Like, everything's going against the Maple Leafs, but I would not be shocked if Toronto comes out with a mighty effort, because everything I just mentioned, man, it's the last game. Leave it all out there. And I do think Anthony Stolarz, I don't like the way this market is treating this guy right now. A year ago, we were looking at Stolarz as a perennial contender for the Vezina Trophy. He was that important. I think this is the problem with this market when it comes to the crease. A couple bad starts. This guy's the worst goaltender in the world. I think we got to be patient. I mean, there's a reason why the numbers spoke for themselves the last X amount of years with Anthony Stolarz. I think he's due for a monster effort. I don't know if it happens tomorrow, but I think slowly but surely, he missed a lot of time. I think he finds his game. If you recall, first 4, 5, 6 games of the season, he looked very Stolarz-like from last year. So I know there's not a lot of optimism in this market. Just let this guy cook, man. He's been around for a while. He's found his game at the NHL level. And I think he's due for a monster night. And I think it's good that, Nylander had another big game. I thought Matthews is rather quiet, so maybe he elevates, steps up, playing against a guy like Connor McDavid. And I expect a really fun one tomorrow night in Edmonton. Like, I don't know if the Leafs will win the game, but I think they'll rise up to the occasion for that one.
There's a comment in the chat I was just kind of smirking at it. It says, from Diz K, knowing the Leafs Stolars goes back to Vesna mode just in time for them to tank.
Yeah.
That would be a Leafy thing to do. I also want to make it clear as well, from my perspective, I'm not trying to shit on Anthony Stolars or write him off career-wise. I'm just more looking at it as the body of work that he's put in since that hot start that he had to open this season. And a lot of that was because of the way the team was playing in front of him, and then it was combined with injury. But I'm not looking at it feeling the most confident going into tomorrow. So that's just kind of how I'm looking at him. I think long term, he's a guy who can bounce back. I think he can find his game here again, especially get some health under him, and I think that he'll be in a much better position, and the team will as well. But I do completely understand what you're saying. I do as well think that it's coming. I just don't know if it's the game tomorrow when you're facing McDavid and Draisaitl, and you talk about the letter and how fired up the Oilers fans will be after seeing that one. But I do get it. The last thing I want to ask you about fan atmosphere. We talked about the game in Vancouver on Saturday. You obviously weren't in the building for that one, but it's well documented how well Leafs fans travel, specifically on the West Coast. Traveling there tonight in Calgary, opening draw immediately. Go Leafs, go chants are echoing through that building. I don't think the Leafs fed off of it within the first 30 seconds. They spent most of that time in their own zone, but then William Nylander takes off on the breakaway after that, and you could feel the energy in that building from Leafs fans who traveled out there to Calgary. Can you just talk about a little bit about what the environment was like in there between the fan bases battling back and forth, and how well Leafs fans traveled out there to Calgary and how loud they were in that barn tonight?
Yeah, very enjoyable. I will say it was like a rope-a-dope type of first period. I think I looked at the scoreboard with like 2 minutes left, and the Leafs had 3 shots on goal and one goal. It lacked intensity. Like, it felt like a beer league scrimmage, but I felt the game got cooking a bit in the second period. I think to that point, like, it's been really weird to me, and I know finally some media members asked in the post-game scrum with Berube, like, what the hell's going on with these lack of power plays? Like, that's 3 of the last 4 games, not one power play handed to the Maple Leafs. And I hate to be that guy, but it's like I don't understand how they're not drawing penalties. Like, even watching the game tonight, it was just an odd sequence where, like, I know Backlund's stick got held, but he's still like, are we not trying to protect the goalies in the league? Like, Backlund gave a shove to the head of Joseph Woll. That's an automatic extra 2 for me. And the Leafs somehow didn't gain a power play from that. There was a 2-hander from Coronado and McMahon in the second period. Like, it's really mystifying how hard this team has needed to work the last decade to draw penalties. And I would love to know, like, a statistic on every team in the league, how often they go 3 out of 4 games without drawing one single power play. Like, not to make a sidebar story of that, but, like, I thought it was a bit deflating from that standpoint, where even the Flames got a power play on the Nye trip. But, I mean, to answer your question, it was electric. I thought there was a bit of a lull there late in the first into the second period, but the building certainly picked up in the third. Then McMahon ices it. So nice, tidy job. I mean, the bounces went their way. They got some timely saves. That's always the vast importance when it comes to goaltending, is getting that timely save, and they got it. I mean, you circle back to this game, Klapka. I mean, I don't know how he doesn't bury that, but Woll will take it, and the Maple Leafs will take the 2 points, and that's all we can do. Like, very unlikely they're going to make the playoffs, clearly, Zach, but I mean, just game by game, just take it one game at a time, and stranger things have happened. Like, I'm not Mr. Positive Pete right now, but that's all this team can do, because there's just so much racetrack remaining in this season. I think it's important to stress, like, there's 26 games left. We're not talking about 12. So it's doable, but, throw every cliche in the world into the conversation. They just, every game, they got to find a way to scrap and claw and pick up at least a point, keep getting points, and you never know what can transpire. It's not like they're chasing the Florida Panthers in their prime. This is the Buffalo Sabres, who have lacked confidence for the last 15 years. Montreal's young. I think it's doable. I mean, again, I'm not going out on a limb and saying the Maple Leafs are going to do it, but just one game at a time, find your game. We saw it for that 12, 13 game stretch, and the most important player on this team is back in the lineup. So let's see what they have in them tomorrow night in Edmonton. Not to mention, too, just to wrap, I think it's interesting, 24-5-1 without Morgan Rielly in the last 30 games 2020, which is just crazy.
I've documented that here.
Yeah.
Oh, believe me, we've documented that here.
Yeah. I thought I thought everybody pulled their weight. I thought OEL had a really good game again. McCabe was good. Benoit. Some mishaps from Carlo, but still that rugged defenseman you're looking for, and obviously a big barometer tester coming up. Like we're gonna get a real indication, taking nothing away from Vancouver and Calgary, if this Leafs team maybe slightly is turning a corner for the better. But we'll find out in a hurry in Edmonton tomorrow night.
You know, I want to be careful about how they say this because I'm with you in terms of like it's not optimistic they make the playoffs, but it was just brought up in the chat and I kind of thought about this and somebody said after the break those other teams could lose their mojo. It could be a little bit. I don't know if you're a fan of F1 or familiar with F1, but when they get the in Formula One, when they get the debris on the track, if there's a crash or whatever, and they do safety laps and they have to wait until it's cleaned up, everybody closes back down. And now, obviously, you still have the points, but everybody's going to kind of hit this final race starting from a standstill again, more or less, if you catch what I'm saying, right? Where Buffalo's momentum that they've built up here, it's going to take 3 weeks off. Boston's is 3 weeks off. And it's not like the Leafs are going to also have the same 3 weeks off, but somebody comes out of the gates hot and wins 5 in a row and somebody stumbles a little bit. It could be there. So I think that's fair. You're just going to kind of have everybody hitting it from the same level coming out of the Olympic break, and that could be something to get you going. I want to leave you with this so you can think about this on your way home. Nick, you're so delusional, it's unbelievable. The only thing you're going to see tomorrow is the Leafs getting spanked. This comes from a man with a Senators logo as his profile picture, who has been in here since 12:40 a.m. Eastern Time in the Leafs Nation After Dark chat, telling us how the Ottawa Senators, with the same number of points in the standings, yep, that's correct, I just looked, same number of points in the standings, Nick, how they are in a much better position than the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, keep that with you.
Yeah, it is what it is. Hey, I'm just trying to make the most of a fun road trip. It's my first time going to Calgary. Yeah. I love watching games in Edmonton. I understand the Trolls are going to be out. It's been a disappointing season for the Maple Leafs. But as I've mentioned throughout the week and last week, like I just want to be entertained. I, like everybody else, pissed off, disappointed that we're having this conversation. But right into the break with some momentum, I think important to bring up too, injury standpoint. 2 players I look at specifically for the Maple Leafs. One's not injured as far as we know, and the one we know is banged up. And Matthew Nyes. I think the 3 weeks off will be so monster, so big for Matthew Nyes, where maybe he's a different player, very similar to what we saw after the 3-day break for the holidays. So that's a guy I'm zoning in on when he comes back. John Tavares too. I think he's been much better the last couple games, but he's in a much he looks like a guy who could use a bit of a break. And then maybe you have a guy like Matthews ride the momentum of the Olympics. Ditto for Matthews. Ditto for Nylander, I should say. Ditto for OEL. And, you make some magic. It's doable. And, I'm probably crazy bringing it up. But, again, if there's one team that can do it, it's this Maple Leafs team. Because it happens a lot. Like, I watch baseball. It seems like teams find a way when it matters at the end of the season to win games. And you can't forget, like, the Maple Leafs have been in that position year in and year out. I mean, they made the playoffs 9 consecutive seasons. So you wonder if it's momentum zapping away from the other teams. And maybe I'm being a bit too optimistic, but we'll see how the process looks here, Zach, over the next little while.
Yep, I'm sorry. I was just fucking with you on the way out reading that Troll's comments. I'm like, this guy's just going at me all night about how we're delusional. I'm like, all right, it is what it is.
Well, that's the interesting thing, and I think it's the market too. Like, nobody's talking about the Florida Panthers because they've won back-to-back Stanley Cups, but they're in the same position as the Maple Leafs. And weirdly, there's this assumption that Florida is going to find their way. Like who's to say that, why can't the Leafs be that team? Everybody thinks the Panthers, and I think that team's cooked, but who's to say the Panthers are going to find a way to get back in the playoff conversation? So we'll see what happens. I think there's obviously a bigger pathway there for teams in the Metro as opposed to the Atlantic, but stranger things have happened. I don't know if I've drank the Calgary Kool-Aid or something, but I like the way Nylander played tonight, man.
What the fuck is in the air out there? You got some
I'm
positivity
just
here
tired
tonight, Nick.
I'm tired of being a negative Nancy. Like
Yeah.
I want to be entertained by the team. I want these guys to do well. I know people have been lashing out at me, Rosie, you on like some guy reached out tonight and he's like, you guys are so negative and you hate this team. Cheer for them once. I think we cover the team as fair as we can. Like I truthfully feel that way. Like I think we praise them when they're good, and we lay into them a bit when they're not as good. Like I think that's part of the network that we've grown, is I think we have to be fair with our analysis, and I think we've been that way. So if the product's better, and I thought the product was better tonight, it was better in Vancouver, I'm going to praise them a bit. So let's do it.
Yep. I think that's fair. Nick, thanks for the time here tonight. I appreciate it. You enjoy whatever the rest of the night in Calgary has to offer you. We will catch up with you soon. I guess enjoy tomorrow night's game in Edmonton. So thanks for doing this, buddy. Appreciate it.
Sounds good. Yeah, so we got David Alter of the Hockey News guest co-host for tomorrow's show. We're going to be at the Barnburners studio again, and we're going to set up the game in Edmonton. Want to bring up, too, I heard some whispers that Ryan Leslie, longtime stander of this city, may have potentially put some money on the board tonight. So great to see a big win for Leslie, one of my boys. Good on him. And, yeah, we'll talk tomorrow from Calgary still. We're going to make that trip after the show tomorrow.
Perfect. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. All right,
anytime.
there you go.
Take care.
Nick Alberga right here on Leafs Nation After Dark, helping us break things down from in Calgary inside the Saddle Dome for tonight's Leafs Flames game. You know what? That's a funny point that he brings up about Ryan Leslie and the money on the board game, because we've made a big deal about it over the last little while. Rightly or wrongly, we've talked about, and it's been pointed up, I think it was JD Anderson was the first to mention that anytime it's a big game, the Berube return, the games against Keith, the Michelli games, the Marner games, name your big game moment, somebody returns or you go back for somebody else, this team loses them. They find ways to drop those games, and a lot of times it's like in some type of embarrassing fashion, i.e. John Tavares in Long Island in his first game back there. Embarrassing game. Ryan Leslie puts money on the board, and all of a sudden the Leafs come up with a win. Not pretty, but they came up with a win. So maybe this is the start of the miracle run. Maybe when you see the championship DVD at the end of the season and we all look back and go, okay, what happened here? How did this thing turn around? Maybe it was the Ryan Leslie game. The money on the board for Ryan Leslie game that took place for the Toronto Maple Leafs in game 56 of the season. Wouldn't that be something, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages? If you guys are in the chat here right now and you want to call into the show, I did send the wrong link in there. So I saw somebody jumped in to call. I'm going to send a new link in. That is my bad. There are links everywhere right now that I am copying and pasting. You want to call into the show, click on the link that is pinned at the top of the chat. You call in there. You don't have to show your face. You don't have to go on video, nothing. You can just give your thoughts on tonight's game, the season as a whole, whatever it may be here. The other thing that was sent in by WM98 at the end of his super chat, I just wanted to get to Alberga and not make him wait anymore, was Zach rips some salts. If you're over 50 likes. Well, okay, we are at 81 likes here on the postgame show. We get to 100. We will do the smelling salts for a second time on tonight's postgame, but that super chat did come in from WM98. We appreciate him for sending in that super chat. And with that, we will get to the smelling salts and we will get to some more super chats we have here. But here you go. This is for 50 likes. There you go. Next super chat comes in. Maxentius Decimus. We had Prague v. Nick. Or Prague v. Vic. What about Prague v. Nick? No, I'm not going to subject Nick to that. And I don't know. We haven't seen Prague in a while, so maybe he's taking a breather as much as we are taking a breather from Prague. Michael says, Zach, can you promise not to say trade 34 later? No. Why would I say that? I'm saying right now in this moment, I don't think you need to panic trade Auston Matthews right now at this trade deadline because the team isn't going to make the playoffs. The guy looks like he's figuring out his play here again. I think the team around him is obviously not the best. I think a lot of factors go into the results that they've had this season. I'm not going to chalk luck and injuries up to a majority of it. It's a piece of it. Injury luck has kind of bitten them in the ass, but like why? I don't know, man. Seeing the guy play that way, seeing the guy get himself into that like top tier positioning in his career again, or top tier play in his career again. I'm like, why? If somebody calls on in the summer and says, we will give you the Hall of all halls. Okay, sure. Entertain the call, but why would you shop him right now? He maintained that he's committed to the organization. He wants to be here. They kind of affirmed to him that they think that next season could be a season where they're going to get back to being a competitive team again, and the goal is still to be competitive, and it seems like he's still interested in being here and still wants to be a part of that. And if that is the case, I'm not going to jump to the trade Auston Matthews conversation. Let's get to our first caller here tonight on the postgame. Let's go to JD Anderson Comedy. JD, what's up, my man?
Hey, Zach. I'm going to be really, really quick tonight because I got to get some sleep. I got a long day tomorrow. But I called in for one reason and one reason alone. We tried something like 2 weeks ago, and I failed miserably. So we got to do a reattempt.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep. Let's see.
Okay. All right. Let's see if it comes through this time.
Uh-oh. If you're playing something right now, JD, I'm not hearing it.
Son of a bitch. Why doesn't it pick it up?
Okay, I have an idea. In your sound, this is what you're going to have to do. Turn on original sound for musicians and give it a go.
Okay, hold on a second.
It's like a music cancellation feature. Okay, go.
Okay. You want to give it a go again?
Yep, go.
All right, let's see. Can you hear this?
Yes, go.
Here we go. There you go for Joey Woll.
There we go. That one worked. That is how this works. Okay, I'm glad we figured that one out. I was like, there has to be a way that we can get around this, and that is it. So thank you for doing that. I'm so glad that it worked. Appreciate it, JD.
Awesome, brother. Have yourself a good night and have a good show. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you. We'll see you, JD. Thanks for the call.
Good night. Cheers.
Good night. There you go, JD. I'm glad that we figured that out. We needed to hear how this was going to... He wanted to play for Joseph Woll a couple weeks ago. He tried it. It did not quite work. I couldn't figure out why. And then it came to my head that there is like a music cancellation feature within YouTube that just kind of keeps that cut out. So thank you to JD. Let's get to our next caller here on the line. And unless proven otherwise, it's Mark from Oshawa. Am I right?
How's it going, Zach?
Mark, it's not bad. I'm glad to hear JD play that song. I'm glad to see the Maple Leafs win, and I'm glad that you called in. So you know what? Things aren't in the worst place.
Yeah, I was sleeping. I went to bed at 12:30, and I literally woke up in a panic, got ready for work, and then I just realized it's only 1:30 in the morning. I don't have to get up till 4.
Well, I mean, I guess in some ways that's kind of nice. It's kind of crazy, but I do appreciate the fact that you woke up and just immediately jumped into the chat and decided, hey, I got to get on a call here.
That's true. No, I won't be long either. Overall, I thought it was a good game. Woll played outstanding, I thought. I mean, he got lucky there near the end. I can't believe Calgary did not tie that game up.
Yeah.
Woll needs to stay more in his net. I don't know if Bruve's ever said that to him or not, but I know he likes to play the puck.
Yeah, when it comes down to Woll and it comes down to Stolarz playing the puck, that was a big conversation that was happening in that Florida series, was Stolar's ability to break up the rush, because he could get out of the net and play things pretty cleanly. Now, mind you, I don't think that one was on Joe Woll for that happening. It took a bad bounce there, and he ended up having to jump in front and made an amazing play to get his stick on it. I don't know if that was, as Nick pointed out, a registered shot on goal, but regardless, for him to break that up and not be a goal, I think that would have evened the game up at that point. It was an unbelievable play, but it is always a little sketchy when Joseph Woll comes out of the net.
Yeah. Just lastly, do you actually think the Leafs, is it, I know they're not mathematically out, but can they still technically make the playoffs? Or squeeze in the wild card?
Technically they can. They have 6 less wins than the Bruins and the Sabres right now. They're 7 points behind Boston. They're 8 points behind Buffalo. They play each of those teams one more time, which is a 4-point swing, 4-point game in the standings, because it takes 2 away from them that they could get, and it gives you 2 if you win in reg against them. So it is possible. You need a lot of things to go right, though, because it's not just the Leafs who have to turn things on. You're also competing against the Sens. You're competing against the Blue Jackets. You're competing against the Capitals for those wild card spots, who are teams that you're either tied with or trailing behind in the case of the Washington Capitals, who have 2 more points than you. And then you're 7 and 8 points behind the Bruins and the Sabres respectively. So it's hard, and you're going to have to turn on the Jets here, and you're going to have to find a way to put together some unbelievable hockey tomorrow night included against the Edmonton Oilers, and then carry that over after the Olympic break, which, as Nick pointed out, it might be the one great, and 6 1/3 pointed out in the chat, it might be the one great equalizer is the Buffalo Sabres, who were on an all-time heater and are 15-11, and they are 17-7-3 at home. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. You know, they talk about winning 21 of their last 24, some crazy shit like that, whatever the number is. Yeah. It's possible that it cools these guys down and it gives you some type of opportunity, but it's a long way to go, man. It's a tough path to be on, and personally, no, I don't think that they will make it, but they can. If that's the answer. So
true enough. Lastly there, and then I'll hang up there. I heard a rumor earlier tonight online that the Leafs may consider trading Hildeby to Philadelphia. I don't know if you heard anything that, or if that was just all talk.
I didn't see that. I don't know. Where'd you see that?
I just saw that on the Facebook feed, so it probably wasn't all that true. Just a rumor that Philadelphia is looking for a goalie, and they'd be interested in Hildeby, is all I saw, kind of thing. So
I don't know, Mark. I didn't see that myself, but
I wouldn't trade him myself. But
I don't think that's real, to be completely honest with you. Maybe I'll be surprised, but I don't think it's real. Facebook's a crazy place, man. You gotta be careful on there. The amount of AI shit I see on there, the made up stories. Be careful on there.
That's true. All right, Zach. Thanks for taking the call. I'll try to give a call in tomorrow night.
All right, Mark. Thanks for the call, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
There you go, Mark from Oshawa. You too. Thanks for the call, Mark. We got another caller on the line we'll get to in 1 second. Just quickly before we do, I want to remind people tonight's show, as always, is a presentation of Bet365. Use promo code NATION. That's NATION. Code NATION, NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Tonight's best bet, it's an easy one. It's a quick one to recap. William Nylander, anytime goal. It cashed 35 seconds into this game. We profited $90 on a half unit bet on William Nylander at plus 180. We had $50 on that one. Profits us 90. That brings us to down 0.3 units on the season, $30 in the hole right now. Try as we will to get ourselves out of this hole and back into the green on the Leafs Nation pregame and postgame. So thank you guys for following along with the bets, liking, all that kind of stuff, and hopefully you were able to cash on this one here tonight. But with that, let's get to our next caller here on the line. I think he's called in before. I might be incorrect, but I think. Let's welcome in X, though, on the postgame show. X,
hey,
though?
Zach, what's going on, bud?
Not too much, happy with a win. Not overly impressed with the way that this team played tonight, but I guess winning and getting 2 points is a positive, especially if this does turn into some run. I just don't know how optimistic I feel, X, though, in general about the team's ability to string together 19 or 20 or whatever it is of their final 26 games here now down the stretch.
Well, I have called in before, I'll say that, but it's been a long time.
Okay.
And I've been watching the season from afar. You can only be hurt so many times. Being a fan of the Leafs is like an abusive relationship. You go through the cycles. Your friends tell you to leave. You keep coming back. You heal over the summer, and you just keep returning. And I've been watching this one from afar. And like the first thing you said was maybe they're going on a run. Man, we won one fucking game. Excuse my language.
You're good.
And damn, man, like they look good tonight. Aspects of them look good tonight. Like Nylander looked great. Matthews looked a little hot at times. Woll was awesome. But this is the Leafy. This is the thing. Like this is what it's like a soap opera. Like we're always hung on it. You know?
I know, dude. You can't quit it. It's inevitable. You're always going to find your way back to the Maple Leafs. You're going to find a way back to watching the games and following closely and being sucked in emotionally, mentally, whatever it is. You're going to be stuck in the loop. You can't escape it. But it is 2 games, 2-game win streak here. So I mean, I guess I'll give that. I'll push back on you there to correct that, but I'm with you though, X. So like it is only 2 wins. It's not like they've now won 4 in a row and are kind of trending that way. It's 2 wins, and it's wins against Vancouver and it's wins against Calgary. And again, like the Buffalo game was a heartbreaker because it felt like that was the dagger, or the first one at least, or the final one at least. And then in going into the Thursday game against Seattle, it's like, okay, well, you lost this one. You had a pathetic game. That's it. Like, what else is there to do? Why else would I emotionally be invested in this team this season? I know that the team as a whole, and I'm always going to be cheering for the Leafs, but it's like, okay, now what's organizationally the best thing to do? It's to get the pick or whatever, get your picks back and sell guys off and get assets. And now you win these 2 games, and it's like, well, what the fuck? Like, if you're actually going to go on this run, why wasn't there a win on in the Seattle game? Why wasn't there a better effort there? And now all of a sudden you turn it around against 2 crappy teams. I mean, it's no shot to them or the organizations. They're just in different places. They're rebuilding. They're trying to be the bottom 5. I don't know. I'm not buying it into it too much.
I don't think they are trying to be the bottom 5. Like, I'm caught between 2 minds. Like, I was happy Marner left. I'm not a Marner fan, and this isn't about Mitch. But when he left, we never really replaced him. And it's not about replacing him. It's about replacing the role on the team. And the role on the team adds to, on top of the actual dressing, like locker room, where they're best friends. Like we never really brought a guy in for Matthews. And we have that, okay? All the injuries, which I know everybody will say every team has them, but we were really fucked this year by them. And then on top of that, we have, like, the East is so competitive. Like, I guess it's a build-up. So all those things combined, it's kind of like, okay, even this. Say we make the playoffs. Okay, everybody talks about this record because it's a talking point. Like 28 to 20, whatever it is. Fucking, even if we make the playoffs, man, are we going to, like, the last couple of years, we're blessed. We make them. I know we only won 2 rounds, but we can compete. Like, we're not the favorites, even if we make the playoffs. Even if we make a couple trades right now. Like, So to me, it's about identity and culture. And the other night, Sittler was honored or whatever. And you go back, like you can go back, sit outside, sit inside, smoke your joints, smoke your cigarettes, have your tea, your coffee, watch what a dressing room and a true team really is. And we don't have it. Like we don't have that.
No.
And that's the thing. Is that coaching? Is that management? Is that a player? Is that whatever it is? But it's like we don't have it, and I don't think it's one guy. I don't think it's the whole thing. But I do think it's like as a fan who's watched them so much, it's like, man, we're either going to go on like a miracle run, or we're going to be half-ass retooling. And that makes me upset because it's like, where do we do something about it? And I don't know what that answer is, but we're not doing anything about it. And tonight's a great win. Tomorrow against the Oilers, okay, what will the after dark be when I call in tomorrow when we got smoked 6-3 or we won 5-2? Like, that's not dealing with the problem. It's one game. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
No, I understand. And to the question about, like, what's the after dark tonight versus tomorrow, like, I'll say from my personal perspective, unfortunately, because of what the Leafs have done here this season and kind of how hard they've made it to trust them for 9 years leading into this season, I can't get to a point personally until I start to see something actually promising. And by that, I mean, like, until you're 2 points out of a playoff spot, if you get there, and you've started to put on a tear coming out of the Olympic break, or the Buffalo Sabres have lost 5 in a row, and, the Bruins are struggling, and other teams around you aren't picking up wins at the same rate, and you're the only team that's gotten hot, maybe that's the point where I start to look at this and say, okay, yeah, maybe I can start to buy in. But to your point, like, you beat Edmonton tomorrow night, I can't even necessarily get fully too hyped up about that one, because even if you come out and you show what you did in the game against the Colorado Avalanche where you beat them on the road in Colorado, you followed that game up with a series of stinkers. You talk about the Utah game, the blown lead to Vegas, then coming back on the home trip after, or the home stand after the game against Winnipeg. Yeah, you fought back, you won that game, but you look at those losses, it was just clunker after clunker that got you to this point where you're this far on the outside looking in. I can't buy in that much. And, it's great if they just play some good hockey down the stretch. I get that. But at the same time, you don't own your first round pick. So you're kind of like a boom or bust situation. You can't just be in the middle ground and miss the playoffs and be like, it's okay, we'll get the 15th pick. No, you don't have it. You don't have the pick. So for me, personally, I would say, and I mean, I know a lot of fans' opinions on this will go up and down and change. And I understand people will look at it differently than I do. But I mean, we talk about players and teams, like maybe you get hot coming out of, or like, yeah, it kills off a momentum that you have going into the Olympic break. Maybe some teams can get hot, maybe some teams can cool down. Well, what does a win tomorrow against Edmonton do for momentum when you take 3 weeks off yourself? And it's not like an intentional 3 weeks off. It's an Olympic break. But you can't say, well, you won 3 in a row. Now you have something to build on, because you are also starting fresh coming out of the Olympic break. And it's not a given that the Maple Leafs come out and win 5 in a row after the break. So to your point, tomorrow night, a win, yeah, I'll be happy about it. I'll be happy to beat the Oilers if you can do that. I would love that. But big picture, no, it doesn't really change anything for me personally.
But on the flip side of it, tomorrow is a measuring stick. I mean, you're going up against a team that's gone to the Cup Finals. It's McDavid, it's Draisaitl. In whatever form the whole team's in.
But is it though? Like, and I don't mean this to like knock Edmonton or shit on Edmonton, but it's also their last game before the break. They're not getting good goaltending from anybody involved right now. They are only 3 points ahead of the Maple Leafs, like points wise. They have 2 more wins than the Leafs do. Is it that much of a measuring stick for you, other than the fact that it's like superstar players versus superstar players, Matthews and Nylander, McDavid and Draisaitl? Like, yes, it's a team that we expect to be competitive, and given where they're at in the standings, they're going to push chips in, but like, does it really do anything for you if you beat the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow night? Because like, it doesn't to me. And I mean, I'll be honest, you play this way tonight, tomorrow night, you're going to get your shit pumped.
Yeah, it's but that's the whole thing, right? Like a lot of it's timing. Say we went and lost every game on this road trip, like what would that look like? But we're so accustomed to being hyper focused on like right now, like that. If we lost every game, we won every game. I know we're close. I know we're far away. But at the same time, that isn't the problem. Like the problem isn't the points. The problem isn't the position in the standings. The problem is having a team that can actually go. Like when you look right now, if you were to ask me who's going to win the Stanley Cup, it's going to be Colorado. It's going to be Carolina.
Dallas.
It's possibly Florida, Dallas. I mean, obviously things can change in the playoffs, but like those teams are literally built, maybe Minnesota, where they're built for the playoffs. And like right now, it's like we're hemming and hawing and we're bitching and arguing about the little things about the success of the year, but the actual problem, or not a problem, the actual thing to deal with is building a team of culture that wins. Any team that's won has done it, and we seem to not have that. Like I know we have pieces of it, but it doesn't connect. And even if now we traded Rielly and all this and that, what do you think, we're gonna win a fucking cup? Like, come on. Like,
yeah, no, I don't either. I mean, I guess the only thing that would be a positive here, which would be different than other seasons, and this is me playing devil's advocate, is if you get into the playoffs, by any miracle here that takes place over the end of this, the hockey that you will have had to play down the stretch will be some of the most meaningful, intense games they've ever played in any regular season in the Matthews era, because you're going to have to be near perfect. You're going to have to battle your dicks off to win games and get points down the stretch every single night. Every single game you play is going to have to be the most competitive. Yeah. And this is all to say, if you make the playoffs, like this is the miracle of all miracles.
That's really interesting, Zach, because now Matthews is the captain. Johnny stepped down from that role through money and through actual status on the team. And so Matthews has that. Matthews has never not made the playoffs. I mean, maybe in his first year, I can't remember. But
nope,
I think
he made it in his first year.
Yeah, he's never not made the playoffs. So it's like, how is he going to deal? Like, you got to remember, a lot of greats didn't make the playoffs every year. A lot of great hockey players. So how do you bounce back as a captain to this organization to – and odds are we won't make the fucking playoffs. So how does he bounce back? And he's on the contract. And how do we deal with that? Like, and the fan base is going to be running rampant. Of course they will. But it's like, what is the next step? And it isn't a rebuild, because rebuild is like true shit. Like, people forget that. There's years when the Leafs didn't make the playoffs, like years. And I know they did fuck all in the last decade, but they at least made the playoffs and had a chance and were the favorites in some respect. So what is it? And once we get rid of Matthews and once Nylander's contract is up, whether you like him or not, we're into a deep rebuild. And that is, you know, your after-hour shows and all these interviews, all these talks will look a lot different.
Yeah.
Like, we still have an era here where we can go, but it's just, how do we do it? And I think it comes down to culture. There isn't a culture. And, you know, you look back at ex-Leafs. They had cultures, and they still couldn't win. So, I don't know. And this is the whole thing. It's all about talking in circles, but
yeah.
Fuck,
well,
man,
I'll throw another
game tonight. A win tonight, a win or loss tomorrow. It's good and bad. It's great and horrible, but it's also not the end game. And I don't know what it is.
Well, I'll throw one positive.
Zach. I'm a confused Leaf fan.
I get it, man. I get it. I mean, I'll throw one more positive in here if you want to look at it that way and say, hey, what happens? You missed the playoffs. And to your point, not every amazing player makes the playoffs every single year. There's part of me that is maybe maybe holding on to hope that doesn't exist and isn't real and is just fabricating things in my own brain to cope with what's happening right now. But you brought up the fact that they've made the playoffs every single year, and every year other than really the first year where they made it into the playoffs in the last game of the season, it's pretty much been like a given that they were going to make it. They had unbelievable regular seasons.
Exactly.
They just waltzed into the playoffs and kind of almost expected things to be easy. So maybe, just maybe, this is one of those things where if you miss the playoffs, it shocks the system to a point where they all kind of look around and realize things aren't easy. Life isn't just handed to you. Playoffs aren't just handed to you. You got to go out and take it. And I'm being overly optimistic, and I know that they've had a lot of points throughout the course of this season with the way things have gone and where they've fallen to in the standings for guys within the room to look around and say, hey, we can get things going. Let's not let ourselves fall out of the playoffs. Let's not miss this year. But maybe actually sitting on your couch in the first round and watching other teams make the playoffs, watching the Buffalo Sabres play and the Montreal Canadiens play and the Detroit Red Wings play will make them sit there and realize, oh, fuck, we can't take things for granted to the same extent. Also, to give Nylander and Matthews a little bit of credit for how the regular season has gone here, I think the team constructed around them has not been the best, and they've been decimated with injuries on top of that. So you put all those pieces together. Maybe you come back refreshed next year. Maybe it's something that sends a message to them internally and they go and get a little bit hungrier in the summer than they've ever been, because maybe they've kind of just become, a little bit accustomed to making the playoffs every year and become a little bit complacent with it. So maybe this is something we can look at and say, hey, you missed the playoffs and you'll be okay, and you could reset in the summer.
Yeah, I agree, but it's so funny because we lost that like we had a good run last playoffs. Like, I know it's not in the grand scheme of the things very great, but it was a good run. And I honestly thought this year it's like we signed Stolarz, we signed Woll, Woll's there, and we got this team, we got Tana, Mitch left, we brought in these guys. Like, fuck it, we're gonna keep going. And it's an understatement. And like you said, maybe we'll be humbled by it, by not making it, and the boys will turn it around. But I also think you got to be realistic. And the biggest media quote is Trey Living saying change the DNA. And Marner is part of the DNA. Because what is the DNA? The DNA is the guys we drafted after we tanked for fucking years. And we brought in these guys, and we're still, and Johnny took such a big cut, so he's like part of the DNA, but like money-wise, not really. So eventually something has to change. And when you start watching the rest of the league, like you stop watching the Leafs, you see different hockey. Like different teams play differently. And like you watch Minnesota's, you watch Colorado's, I'm like, holy fuck, these guys are like, I can't even keep up. Like watching it. Yeah. So I'm kind of running my mouth all over the place, but it's not a breaking point, but I hope we come to a point where, like, hopefully there's some trades, but even if we made trades, they're not going to make a difference this year. And I don't know what it's going to come to, because we got Matthews, we got Nylander, we got Johnny, we got the goalies. I mean, we got to build around that. And I hope as Leaf fans, we don't shit on them too much, but we shit on them enough. And something's got to give. It's still something's got to give.
Yep, entirely possible that that's the case and that something needs to happen here in the summer. I just don't. It's not going to happen at the deadline, and I think it's all dependent on what your options are in the summer there as well. Like, you don't want to just get rid of guys for the sake of getting rid of guys. You need to get adequate returns back if that's going to be the case, and you're going to go in a different direction, which I hope everybody involved in this operation realizes. But X, though, I appreciate the call. I got one last
thing, Zach. I want to say a shout out to the Leafs Nation there. You got producer Vic in the background killing it. You got Epic Ranch from Jay Rosehill. And then you got Nick Alberga there in Alberta, fucking killing it too. We're doing the after hours. You guys put on a great show. And go Leafs go, boys. That's all I got to say.
Thanks, X, though. I appreciate the call, and I appreciate the kind words. Enjoy the rest of your night, and go Leafs go.
All right, go Leafs, go, boys.
There you go. X, though, on the line. Last caller here. We'll get to make this one a little bit quick, but we'll run through with our guy, Scott from Bracebridge. Scott from Bracebridge, what's up, brother? Scott, do I got you?
Hey, Zach, how you doing, buddy?
Uh-oh. All right. Oh, there we go. What's up, Scott?
Yeah, I think
Good.
so.
We got you, Scott?
Yeah, all good. Okay. I know you're kind of miserable. You got me?
Oh, Scott, your internet's bad there. Your internet's
You got
bad.
me?
I got some bad internet connection on you.
Oh.
All right, see if you can reset that, Scott. We'll get you to come back in. We'll see if we can get this sorted out. But in the meantime here, we're 6 likes away from 100 likes here on the Postgame Show. Hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. Leaf Station 401 right here on YouTube. Still trying to get to ourselves to 25,000 subscribers here on YouTube. We got the Olympic break coming up, but we will have Leafs content happening here throughout the course of the next 3 weeks, talking about everything happening with this team over the next little while. Some special guests and stuff popping through, breaking everything down. So make sure to be here on this channel, checking that out as well. The Leaf Station After Dark, wherever you get your podcast, make sure to look for that, because you don't just get this on YouTube form. You don't just get it in video form. You can also get it on podcasts. You miss a show, you want to listen to it back the next day, you're commuting, whatever. Maybe the easier way for you to do so would be through podcasts. Make sure to check us out there. The super chat that I wanted to read here, Maxentius Decimus, indulge me in roasting Frank in the Ottawa Senators. Yeah, it does look like Frank has made himself an enemy in the chat here right now. Let's see if we got this figured out. Let's welcome Scott from Bracebridge.
You got me now?
Scott, we still got some bad connection on you. I don't know if there's a way for you to like exit and jump back in, but got some bad connection on you, Scott. I'm sorry.
All
right. We'll see if Scott can figure this out here. I'll give him another opportunity. In the meantime, let's go to our play of the game for tonight. Play of the game for me. You guys send your play of the game in the chat. I want to see where everyone else is at. Play of the game for me in this one is going to be the Troy Stecher goal. Actually, you know what? The play of the game for me is going to be the Joseph Woll save on Klapka. I think at that point, that makes it a tie game. You weren't playing that well. The scoring had kind of run dry for a little bit. It's an unlucky bounce. It's in Calgary's barn. It's a team that can't find the back of the net with any sort of regularity. And if they were to tie that thing 3-3, you know, Nazem Kadri is hungry on the other side. He's going to want to win. You just have that feeling Dustin Wolf's going to step up. He's going to be a savior for the Flames just because of leafy things and how things go for this team. And yet Joseph Woll dives out and takes away basically a surefire goal from Klapka. That is my play of the game. Joseph Woll had himself an amazing night here tonight for the Maple Leafs. Big saves, timely saves. Comes away with a .933 save percentage here. Another amazing game from him over the last couple. You know, he didn't play his best through that stretch over the homestand. It was one of the contributing factors to the team not playing that well. Some of it is the defense. Some of it was Joseph Woll. Some of it was an inability to score. Some of it was bad coaching decisions. Like, there was a lot that went into that one. And yet, Joseph Woll here now has kind of found his game a little bit again. Even in some of the losses that have taken place, he has looked better. So, kudos to Joseph Woll for that save. That's my play of the game. Honorable mention for me is going to go to the Stecher goal because it was great puck movement. William Nylander played amazing tonight. He has 3 points, a goal, and 2 assists on the 3 goals that were scored with a goaltender in net for the Toronto Maple Leafs to get them up with 3 goals on the board. So Willie Nye was out of his mind, but that one there, he feeds Matthews in the slot. Matthews absolutely unloads on a one-timer that Dustin Wolf makes a great save on, gets it back to Willie, and then Willie just with some patience finds Troy Stecher down the middle, who goes forehand, backhand, and tucks into an empty net. So that's an honorable mention for me. Final thing here, and we'll wrap up the show on this. grade of the game. Grade of the game for me, I think we're gonna have to give like a B plus. I think a B plus is like, or B maybe is the game. I didn't love the way they played. I thought it was a little bit lackadaisical. I didn't think it was very quick with much pace or much tempo. I didn't really think that first line was any good at all. That's one of the concerning factors for me here is like Max Domi's play. It can come in waves, and I think his waves are tougher to handle than like Auston Matthews or Nylander because they can be peak of the peak where they score at outrageous clips, and then when things slow down for them a little bit, next thing you know, it's like, okay, well, they're still really effective players. A guy like Max Domi can kind of fall off a cliff if his disappears in any sort of facet, and it feels like that's happening right now, and Matthews and McMahon are suffering for it. Like, yes, he got a couple goals in the game against Vancouver, but outside of that, he's not put together the best body of work, and that first line kind of got shelled tonight a little bit. I didn't think that they played very well, so that's another issue for me here, but hey, a win's a win's a win. That's what we say, and if this is the start of the championship DVD and Ryan Leslie putting money on the board and the boys finding a way, then I don't know if you could be mad about it. The only way you could be mad is if at the end of the day or end of the season, it takes away an opportunity to get a top 5 pick. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that's all for me here tonight on the postgame show. I appreciate everyone who watched, who joined in, who commented, who chatted, who gave their opinions on this game tonight. We're going to get ourselves back at it tomorrow. We got a game preview coming up here on this channel. As Nick pointed out, David Alter will be joining the boys in studio live from Alberta ahead of tomorrow night's game against the Edmonton Oilers. We got that in the morning. We have my game preview coming up after that. I will be joining the boys on Oilers Nation at 3 p.m. Eastern time to tee up the Oilers-Leafs game for tomorrow evening. And then I will be back here following tomorrow night's game against the Edmonton Oilers, and I'm going to try to get Jay Rosehill to pop by the show last after dark before a 3-week Olympic break, so it'll be a little bit of a break for myself and for you guys here from Leafs Hockey and post-game shows in general. And we'll see if maybe Rosie can join us in our final one. But that is it for me here tonight on the postgame. Thank you to everybody who watched, liked, commented, super chat. Thanks to all the callers here tonight. Thanks to Nick Alberga for joining from Alberta in the Saddle Dome. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow. The Leafs win this one 4-2 against the Calgary Flames and now find themselves 7 points out of a playoff spot. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to subscribe here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything.